Hi, Monica. Welcome to the community. We are doing a lot of re-engineering. Thanks for your hand on all POC in cloud and DevOps. As part of this session, can you help us, our community members, to see how to install the CACD as part of Jenkins and how to configure it and how to implement and how to integrate and how to automate the deployment in CI/CD. And also, you can explain where people can go and refer all the commands. We will publish it in the GitHub and comment section. Of course, first you introduce yourself so that community people will know.
Yeah, Vijay. Thank you, Vijay. I'm Monica, of course, Cloud Prasadan. Always, I used to deep dive in any of cloud or DevOps re-engineering. Today, I'm going to help community to understand how to implement DevOps pipeline and how to automate application deployment in CI/CD. Let me share my screen. Yeah, I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yeah. So you can minimize and first to show what you are going to show it in hands-on.
Sure, Vijay. And today, today I just want to implement the CI/CD pipeline. And for this, the cloud platform I choose is AWS. Okay.
Yeah, you can. Yes, yes.
Yeah. This is the place where we can launch the instance and see for this I need two servers. One is for Jenkins and one is for Tomcat. I'm going with the OS Rocky Linux.
Can you tell community members why we need a Rocky Linux rather than CentOS? That is important because
The
people,
reason, yeah,
yeah,
the reason
people,
is CentOS is getting depreciated, and most of the CentOS is now following the Red Hat. So because of that reason, I choose Rocky Linux because we can the same part how we means people might be using CentOS may feel that they might adjust it to that CentOS and they need the same type of version, and we can say this is the doppelganger of Rocky Linux. So I'm choosing this Rocky Linux.
yeah.
I hope
So
you understand.
basically,
Yeah.
CentOS and Rocky Linux, those who are doing all their learning as a free in CentOS, they can very well do in Rocky Linux. So
Yes.
the same. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going to the AWS marketplace. Let me go with the Rocky Linux 8. Select. See, choose a Amazon machine image. You are going with the Rocky Linux. And next, instant type. See, for Jenkins server mission, we require 2 GB of CPU and 4 GB of RAM. So I'm selecting the 2 T2 medium. And next, going with configure instance details. As if now, please make it as same. Next, go with add storage. In the add storage, I want the disk size of 40 for Jenkins mission and click on add tags. See, the name should be very relevant one. It can be anything, but it should be understandable. As if now I'm keeping Jenkins. And next, click on configure security groups. In configure security groups, I'm going with all traffic, but for your production, you can go with your required thing and click on review and launch. See, I already have a keypad in Ohio region. If you are new to this AWS, you have to go here and you can create a keypad here. Okay. And click on I acknowledge and click on launch instance. In the same way, you have to do with the Tomcat server, but for the Tomcat, what you required is minimum two CPUs and 7.5 GB RAM. You have to go with that. Okay. Now let me explain what are the required installations required for the Jenkins and whatever the required software required for the Tomcat. Let me go with this installation steps. See, this is our Cloud and Loud Rocky Linux GitHub repository. You can get whatever the installment part, installations part for Jenkins as well as Tomcat installations part. Every command related to this installation is present here. Let me go with the Jenkins installation. In Jenkins installation, what are the prerequisite softwares are? You require
So
Java.
they need to access it, all these steps, if they go
Yes,
to github.com/cloudunload/rocky linux.
yeah. I will
Okay.
provide every steps within the comment section. Please go through those things.
Okay.
And next, as we already created the missions, first for Jenkins server, we have to install all prerequisite software packages. Next, we need to configure the environmental variables. After configuring, we have to install the software repository for Jenkins. Miss Jenkins require a place in order to get installed, right? So we are configuring the Jenkins software, and next we configure the Jenkins key, and we can install the Jenkins over here, and we have to start the Jenkins without service persistently. Install the necessary plugins in the Jenkins, and we have to configure the global tool settings. See, first within the installation of prerequisite softwares, what are the softwares we need to install here is Java open version. We need to install. We have to install the Vim editor, Git, and we have to install the maven as well. As after installing the maven, what we have to do is we have to extract that file and move to our local machines. Next, coming to the configuration part, we have to create a bash file, and in which we have to give this file within that and save and exit. Next, check maven tool is working or not. For in order to check, you have to use mvn-version command to check whether the Maven is properly installed in our machine or not. And we can check the what version of Maven is installed in our machines. Next, next step is you have to
And
configure.
also, you can just say the profile configuration. They need to paste all these steps before export path line, the last line.
Yes, exactly. Within this file here, you will be having. Let me show you. I have already installed the machines so that you will get the idea.
Yes.
I'm connecting to the instance through Git Bash. You can choose whatever you want. Might be Putty or Move Extreme or something else. It's your wish. See, by logging into the Rocky Linux, one step we have to do is see here. It should be Rocky in place of root. As a beginner, most of the people might not be knowing, but
Can
we
you
have,
can you press Control L so that people will can see from the top?
yeah,
Maybe sometimes the bottom commands they will get a hide.
yeah. Let me clear this.
Yes, yes. Just press Control L so that it will be yes. Yeah. Now you proceed.
Let me change into the root as a root user. See here. This is the file which I have already created. See here. Are you able to see this export part?
Yes, yes, yes.
Whatever the files you have to paste it over here, you have to do before this. See, this is the part which I have. This is the one which I have pasted over here.
You can hide the share screen. There is a button. You can hide it.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Now you
Go ahead.
understand how I have pasted this. Make sure once you are creating this file, make sure you are pasting this above the export path. Okay.
Yes.
Later on, I'm just quitting this. Okay. And now coming to this. Next, check the Maven build tool version. Let me show this also, which version I am following. See, it's 3.5.4. It's 3.5.4. Okay. Next, we have to configure the Jenkins software repository. See, there should be some place for our Jenkins to be downloaded, and we have to keep that software, right? So for that, we need this repository. After this, we have to configure the Jenkins key, and you can install the Jenkins. Start the Jenkins server persistently. Let me restart this Jenkins server once again. And next, you have to install the necessary plugins. These and all I'll explain you. See, it is showing active running. My Jenkins server is active running. Let me check in the web browser whether it is active running or not.
So those who practicing this, if they are not able to get the console, that means in the security group they haven't opened 8080. Am I
Yes,
correct?
port 8080. Yes,
Yes,
correct.
yes.
Take the public IP address, paste it in a new tab, and colon 8080. See, this I have already configured the Jenkins mission. If you are new, once if you have gave the 8080 port number, it will give one means one path. That part you have within the red marks that you have to take it and you have to paste it in your Git bash, saying as a cat. Then you will get the password. Keep that password within the Jenkins. You can able to access it.
And also the first time it will ask after we typed that password from the
Yes.
file,
Yeah.
automatically it will ask. There is a two option it will ask whether you want to go with the default packages or custom
Install
packages.
custom packages. Yes.
Those who are learning as a fresher, we suggest to go with the default one, first option.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
See, this is my Jenkins console. See, in order to do everything before integration, before building the pipeline, and before deploying the pipeline, what you have to install the mandatory plugins as well as you have to configure the global tool variables. Without that, you can't do anything. So here, let me go with the manage Jenkins. See, global tool configurations. Click here. You have to give your Java version, JDK version. See, the name you can give what is relevant means I would prefer Java hyphen and version number, and Java home is the part which you configure. See, this one you can get it here. Here. This one. This is the one you have to give over there. And next, coming to the Git, Git is by default it will take. Coming to the private repositories, you have to mention. And next, Maven. Maven, you have to mention your what Maven version is. Name you have to mention at the same time. Maven home, whatever you gave here for the Maven, you have to provide it. See here. While configuring this one, you have to provide it under the Maven. This is the Maven home. and come down and click on apply and click on save.
Yeah, also one
One,
more thing is if they want to have a different multiple Java version, they can add.
yes, you
If
can
they
add
want
a,
to have multiple Maven version, they can add.
yes, see here, you can add it over here.
Yeah,
If you want to add multiple, you can add it over here.
yeah, because sometimes some of the projects, if they have
Yeah,
multiple versions for say pipeline one using different version, pipeline two different version, it's okay. But only thing is they need to keep declare all what they want first here.
yes. Whatever you want, you have to configure in prayer.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And next, after managing the Jenkins, the one thing you have to keep is you have to install the plugins, whatever the plugins required for your build. Whatever the plugins you have to require, you have to install. Let me tell the plugins here. Here, dashboard view is the plugin which I have to install. See, let me show you. I have already installed, but let me show you the process how to install that. Click on available. Within the available, you have to check.
Because you installed. So
I
if you
yes, I
install,
have already installed. I have to check within the installed.
install.
But I'm showing the people how we have to install in this way. If you give the name within the available, the name will be shown here. You have to click that, check that box, and you have to click on install without restart. As I have already installed the necessary plugins, I'm showing whatever the plugins I have installed. See here, and plugin is installed. These are the necessary plugins which are installed for this build tool. Okay. And next, let me tell you what are the plugins you need to install is dashboard view, build pipeline, deploy to container, email extension, as well as Maven. Maven is missing over here. You please try to install the Maven as well as. And next, back to the dashboard. After global tool configurations, what you have to do is you have to go with the configure systems. Here, click on this. See here, come down. You have to mention your Jenkins URL over here, and remaining configurations you can do while building the pipeline. See, let me go with the new pipeline. Let me check. Let me tell one pipeline name. Let me go with the Maven project. Click on OK. See, here once your source code management I am giving it. Next here I have to give my repository URL. See, my source code is there within this GitHub repository. Within the Maven tree, I'm using Game of Life source code, which is a Java application. I'm using this source code. For that, what you have to do is you have to copy this URL and paste it over here. Automatically it will take git by default it will take your git. And next, build trigger I'm using polysem. I want this process to be automated. For this, what you have to give is you have to give 5 stars over here. Yes, come down and see the build is pom.xml. Here, why it is pom.xml means it's a Java application, and because of Java application, we are using the build tool Maven. What Maven will do will it will take the source code, it will compile, validate, and it will build .war files. That .var files we are going to deploy in the Tomcat web application. In the second server, we have installed Tomcat web application, right? Tomcat web application, we have to within the Tomcat web application, we have to deploy this .var files and come down. And next, check within the post build actions. Post build actions, I want to deploy to a container, yes or no? So I am choosing this deploy var slash er, and over here, which type of file I have to install, which type of file I have to give is it's a Java file. So I am going with .var file.
So suppose if that also you explain, some of the projects, they have a bigger application, enterprise level. If the
Yes,
application is ER file, then they simple
they have
terminology,
to
they
go
need
with
to
er.
declare,
Yeah.
yeah, what type of file they are going to deploy.
Yes. And next, go with the container. See here, before going with the container, the Tomcat version which I'm using is Tomcat 9. I will show you that one as well as I have already configured my Tomcat credentials over here. If you
First,
want,
you explain the Tomcat, how you configured, and
yeah,
then you come back here.
yes, yes. Okay. Let me log in into the Tomcat mission.
So you need another machine, right?
Yeah, you need another Tomcat mission. Make sure you're using two CPUs and 7.5 GB RAM for this.
So
For
this also you
Artifactory and
installed.
Tomcat, mostly people will use one mission. It's around 8 GB. I'm
Yes.
going with this. Yeah.
So you installed in this machine also Rocky Linux, correct?
Yes. The OS is Rocky Linux.
Just press Control L so that you can clear it out. Control L.
Yeah. See. Now I'm into the mission. And let me explain you the steps how to get into how to configure this Tomcat. See, every detailed steps regarding the installation part is there in our Cloud and Loud Rocky Linux Git repository. Please go through all those things. And coming to the Tomcat installation, what are the prerequisites are? You require two CPU and 7.5 GB memory for this. And what are the packages means installation prerequisite software packages are you require Java, you require Maven. At the same time, Maven should be moved to your local, and the same bash file you have to create over here. And once the bash file is created, I showed you right before the export part, you have to give this file and check with the Maven version over here. Maven version is 3.8.5. And next, install Artifactory. As if now I'm skipping because we don't have that much of time for explaining this. And what you have to do is install Tomcat Web Application Server. For that you have to make directory, and you have to we get Tomcat application, and you have to extract that file as well as and give user ad and owner permissions as well as. And now configure the Tomcat service. For configuring the Tomcat service, you have to use this command within the Vim editor. You create one file by using the Vim editor and copy this one and paste this one. Let me show how I did it within my system. See, this is the part which I configure, which I pasted over here. Next, you have to stop your firewall. And next, you have to create the Tomcat users as well as. See, check here. Before this script, you have to mention before Tomcat users. Let me show this file to you. See, this is a Tomcat users, right? Before this, I have pasted this one. Completely these roles I have pasted before the Tomcat users. Make sure you are pasting it before the Tomcat users. And next, save the file and exit.
Can you go back to that? So that means before the last line, they need to paste it, correct?
Yes, yes, before the last line. That's what before the Tomcat users, they have to paste these roles.
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Next, save the file and come out. And restart your Tomcat service and as well as art because now I'm not going with the Artifactory. Restart your Tomcat service. Access the Tomcat by using the port number 8081, but it will redirect 8081. For Artifactory, the port number is 8081, but it is redirecting to the 8082. Next, what you have to do is we have to create a new pipeline and enable manual deployment. Once, let me check with the Tomcat web application whether means I can do the restarting process. 1 second. See, it is active, running. My Tomcat server is active, running. Eight zero eight zero is the port. See, this is the Tomcat web application. See, click on Manage app. It will prompt you for the for the password and the username. See, username and the password you will get it here. See, this is the password and this is the username. See, this is the one which I have already which I have logged in. See here, you have to see the game of file web Java application over here. Let's do with the hands-on now.
So when they configure, they will not see.
Yes,
Since you
they won't
already
see because I
tested.
have already deployed that application. I am able to see, but
Okay.
when you have configure, you won't be able to see this part.
Okay. Okay.
See here, before configuration, you have to mention your username. See the kind I'm going with username with password. You have to give your username. See, my username is Tomcat and the password is a secret. And ID, what you have to give is it should be very relevant one. Let me go with Tomcat server hyphen server hyphen my public IP of Tomcat. So it will be easy for you to recognize when you are doing
Yeah,
all the
because
steps.
the reason
Yeah.
why you are giving is maybe if you have say dev environment
Yes.
Tomcat server,
Yeah.
SIT environment, so
Tomcat
it will
server.
be easy for us to differentiate from the same CI Jenkins server.
Yes. True. And click on add.
Yes.
And here within the none, see here, for example, I have already created You can differentiate even you are in dev environment, when you are in UAT environment, everything you can differentiate and you can select what you have given over here. See,
Yes.
I'm going with 129. And next, Tomcat URL. See, before, make sure you are giving from this port. Don't take the manager slash. Make sure you are giving this URL till 8080.
Because the deploy to container plugin automatically know the slash manager URI.
Yes. Click on apply and click on save. See, configuration part I did for Git, Maven, Java version is also configured, and Tomcat also I have configured. So the mission should know, the Jenkins should know what we are integrating, and we have to provide the necessary credentials for that. So come back to the dashboard. Now create one new pipeline. Go with new item. Let me go with some other name. Manual hyphen automate hyphen deployment. Click on Maven project, click on OK.
So you can do it in the same pipeline, right? Then
Yeah, but I just want to show them difference. So we have configured everything, right? So I want to show them the difference. Next, go with the Git one and Git repository URL. You make sure you have to give where your source code is there. I'm using the Java application here. Next, it automatically takes your Git credentials. Next, come here. Build. I want to be I want automation, so I'm going with Policy. Come
so
down.
if I don't know anything about this syntax, then where I can go and find out what is this star about?
See here. You
Okay,
can
okay.
see here over here what is the star meant completely here.
Yes,
See
yes.
here. This is the complete information where you can get the details about the star if you are new to this.
Even
Uh,
they have some examples also.
yes, they have some. They have shown some examples. You can go through these things.
Yes, yes.
Is clear?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And next, build environment. See, automatically it takes the pom.xml. The reason is here the build tool what we are using is Maven. For Java application, by default, we will take the here within the Jenkins, we have installed the plugin Maven, and the Maven, what it will do is once the source code is triggered, once the policy triggers the configuring, did you have to mention your repository where your source code is there. Come down. I just want to automate this process by using the Polysium. Polysium, you have to give star space star space star space star space star. See what exactly these five stars is mentioned here. If you have any doubt, you can go through this question mark below. Which star is it mentioned all the detailed information over here. What star is for what exactly it is. And next, build is the pom.xml. As you already know what exactly it is, we have used in the build tool Maven. Maven will trigger the code. It will compile, validate, test everything, and it builds a .var files. Through pom.xml, we are generating the .var files. And coming here I am selecting the .var file. This is as per my requirement because my application is Java. You can go with your ER files. Everything depends upon your production. And next, coming here, Tomcat version, I have selected 9 and the credentials I gave here. In order to add credentials, you click on add, click on Jenkins. You can give your username and your password over here, and ID is should be very relevant. Like for example, I have taken tomcat hyphen server hyphen my IP address. This coming to the use where you have different environments like dev within the UAT. You might be using the tomcat, right? Because it will come. You can use this. You can differentiate what exactly is if you give a relevant ID. And next, save and come out. Click on and come out. As I have already taken, I am giving the tomcat server. And next, come down. You have to provide your tomcat URL. See here, tomcat URL you are having here. This is a tomcat URL you have to give here. And next click on apply and click on save. Okay. Now go with build now.
So the thing is, it will build, sorry, it will compile and it will
It will
build and it
compile,
will
build.
create the war file, and then it will
Yes.
connect to the Tomcat machine, which is the
Mm.
different machine, and it will deploy to the Tomcat web application server.
Web
Correct?
application. Yes. The build
Okay.
is success over here. The build is success over here. Means our .war file has been deployed into our Tomcat web application. Just let us check whether it is deployed or not. See here. For this, you have to give your IP address colon 8080. Go over here. Click on manage app. See, already we have provided the credentials before, right? See, check whether your .var game of file application is there or not. Yes, it's there. Click on this. See here. This is my Java application which I deployed into the Tomcat web application by using pom.xml by using the Maven, build tool Maven. Yes. See, you are able to clearly able to see my Java application getting deployed into the Tomcat web application.
So here the CI tool is Jenkins and the
CI tool is Jenkins and the build tool is Maven.
Maven, and the application is Java, and the web application server is Tomcat, and the
Tomcat
base
and the source
OS
code,
is base
source code
OS
is
is okay,
Rocky Linux.
Rocky Linux, and the source code is stored in
Java application, it's there in our GitHub
GitHub.
repository.
So source code management here we are using GitHub. So in a real
GitHub.
time, people can use Bitbucket or GitLab or any
Yes.
source code management. Correct?
Any enterprise version they can use in
Exactly.
real time. See
Exactly.
here, for this is the where I have provided the necessary steps. See, go to our Cloudnloud GitHub repository over here, and you can go with the Rocky Linux. We have created the steps required for Jenkins installation as well as Artifactory and Tomcat installation. Further, if you have any queries, any doubts, if you want to reach me out, please go to Cloud and Loud Technologies GitHub repository. And here we have created the tech repository, quick query repository.
The first one.
The first one, go over here and please provide all your doubts. Please mention all your doubts over here.
Uh,
Thank you. Thank you so much
go
for the session.
go
Thank you,
there
Vijay.
and click issues, and
Yes.
no, the top, click issues. Yeah. So here they have to submit all their queries so that we can able to help them with the detailed hands-on, or if require, we can get onto the live call, and we can show the small POC.
Sure. If you have any further queries, please reach out to my LinkedIn profile as well as I will mention in the comments my LinkedIn profile. And thanks, Vijay. Thanks for
That was an amazing session by Monica. Let's get on with the next session, which is data architecture using Terraform. Here, one of our community members has prepared a Terraform script, which will create a uh, data architecture uh, using Terraform, which has a chatbot in it. I'm excited to see it. Let's see what's in store for us.
Hello everyone, I welcome you all to the Cloudnloud mini conference. Today we are going to discuss about different opportunities available around AWS and Terraform. So let's quickly jump into the video. Let me share my screen. Okay, so like I said, we are going to discuss about the around AWS and Terraform. So before we start, let me give a quick introduction about myself. So my name is Muralidas. I am working as a cloud consultant and DevOps engineer at iTalk. So I would like to learn different new technologies. I'd like to learn new technologies and try implementing them in my own POC labs. And also I love to share the knowledge with my peers and with some big communities like this Cloud and Loud via webinars and addressing the conferences. So I'm having some pretty much good experience in working with uh, various DevOps and AWS related projects. And this is my LinkedIn profile. You can connect me here. So our main agenda is uh, what cloud to learn in 2022. So, and also we are going to see why do we really want to learn cloud and what cloud will maximize the success on your job market. And also the frequently asked questions, of course, should a DevOps engineer know how to code? So what is IAC and why we are using IAC and what is Terraform, why we are using Terraform. So these are the main agenda. And by the end of the session, we are also going to see a short and quick demo about Terraform. So what cloud to learn in 2022? So if you are interested to start your career in DevOps or cloud, so you need to know this. Before we start learning the cloud, you should know why cloud and what is cloud and what is DevOps. Let us quickly see the overview of all this. So before we go with this different kind of cloud service providers, let's see what really cloud computing is. So cloud computing is like you will be uh, getting the services of different cloud service providers, the different services like compute, storage, database, and all the services you can easily get as you go. You can pay as you use, and you can, you know, simply destroy whenever you no longer need those resources. So this is very quick. So there are some times where the deploying resources takes ages, but now in a single click or some when we run some command, it's take only a few minutes to deploy resources and see how cool it is. So that's all about a cloud computing in a nutshell. And so there are different cloud service providers available in the market. So these three are the major cloud service providers like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. So as you see here in this pie chart, I can see the major cloud service provider is AWS. They were the first to start, uh, you know, providing cloud services, and now they are contributing the major part of cloud share market. So why do we really want to learn cloud? So most likely it can be any technology, not only the cloud. why you want to learn new technology in first place. So of course the answer is straightforward. So you learn some new skill to attract more employers, and finally you'll get a good paid job, right? So in spite of all these reasons, you need to set a goal, and you need to dig deeper of why to learn a particular skill and how the scope is there in the future for that particular technology. What cloud should I learn to, for the question, what cloud should I learn to maximize the success on a job market? Well, you can see this pie chart, and you can, you know, come to a conclusion of what cloud to learn. And my preference is to go with Amazon Web Services. So AWS is a leading cloud service provider in the world, and like I said, they are the first to start, and of course they contributing more than half of the shares in the cloud market. And so AWS is defined as a cloud computing platform which is offered by Amazon as a vast system of the pay-as-you-go centers, which is responsible for providing the infrastructure to the enterprise for dealing with the World Wide Web. Of course, they are the king of the market. Like I said, they are contributing more than 50% in the worldwide market, and the very big giants like Netflix, Reddit, NASA, Airbnb, they are using AWS already. So their services are already spread across the globe. So around 190 countries they have. So they have 1 million active customers. So there's some huge around the globe are using AWS. So when it comes to speed, you have the opportunity to make use of services like Ops for Code Deploy, Lambda. With these services, you can build any kind of critical application within a minute. So, like I said, AWS spread across the world. It has various regions and availability zones in covering all part of the globe. So it has a huge global infrastructure. So as the disaster recovery, it has a robust and reliable platform, and you can use as many services as you want. You can already have 70 plus services into analytics, networking, and mobile database. So it also acts as a foundation of businesses. So many business applications can be offered, like Oracle, SAP, and Microsoft, that makes your work on a business even easier. So AWS contribute more to the environment. They are more concerned with going green, and they are fully committed in going green, and they have renewable sources of energy, and approximately percentage of AWS use renewable sources of energy. And one interesting thing here is it support machine learning and Internet of Things. So that is the very hot technology, and it is the future of all the technologies around there. So when it comes to learning cloud and DevOps, so the first and foremost prerequisite is Linux. So this slide shows you how important Linux is. So this pie chart shows you how uh, how much Linux is dominated. Linux has dominated. So these are some facts. You can read it out. Like there are around 27.8 million codes are submitted to Linux Git repository by 2021, and 100% of the world top 500 supercomputers run on Linux. So that, see how cool that is. And of course, this is the major part. So 67% of hiring managers have Linux as a requirement in their job postings. So if you want to get a job around cloud or DevOps, it's important to know Linux, and you have to be very handy in using Linux as OS. So this means Linux should be your first choice of operating system for matching requirements for maximum. So to in order to maximize your job opportunities on the market. Okay, here comes the frequent and frequently asked question, like, should a DevOps engineer know how to code? Well, I would say that uh, see, you know, this ratio or this calculations and this pie charts. So of course, here it is saying 64.3% of programming is required, and most of the managers are looking out for someone who knows programming very well when it comes to a DevOps job. I would say, in my perspective and in my experience, I would say that um, of course you need a basic of programming knowledge. So in order to learn some of YAML, because in Kubernetes we are using YAML manifest files, and of course HCL, HashiCorp configuration language used in Terraform. So these are some very simple and basic languages that anyone can learn easily unless you know the basics. So I would say that some of the coding knowledge is absolutely required, so you can't get away. What is Terraform and why Terraform? So before we go to what is Terraform, we need to look into what is IAC. So IAC is a hot topic for quite a long now. It is nothing but infrastructure as code. So what is infrastructure as code? So defining an infrastructure in a code, like how many resources you need to provision, and how your uh, infrastructure need to be. So you will be designing this in a code, in a code format, so that you can reuse it. So um, so you there are some times when it takes ages to um, configure, deploy the resources for a project. But now with the cloud and the infrastructure as code, it takes only a few minutes to your resources in the cloud. So when you write, so this is the snippet of your Terraform code. So in this way, if you declare an EC2 instance, which is the virtual machine in AWS, if you write this code and you simply apply this code, it will spin up an EC2 instance in AWS. So see how cool and how quick it is. So this way, the coolest thing in for infrastructure as code, we can reuse it as many times as we want. And um, so consider, if you have a project A and you're written all the code and you're deployed the resources, you're done with the deploying resources, and everything is working up and running, and everything is working fine. Now you have another project, which is project B, and you have a similar requirements as project A, and you no need to write the code from the beginning. You can simply take the code of project A and do some tweaks or edit as per your requirements of for project B, and you can simply reuse the code. And that is the cool thing about, and it's easy to manage and maintain, and it's very quick to create, and it's very quick to destroy. It takes only minutes. So this is all about infrastructure as code. So there are so many tools available in infrastructure as code, like CloudFormation, for example. CloudFormation is a managed service or offering from AWS. So it is completely um, belong to AWS. So it is their infrastructure as code. And of course, AR, which means Azure Resource Manager. It's again a product of Microsoft Azure. So we have so many infrastructure as code tools available in the market. Out of that, if you can see in the pie chart, see how vast Terraform is. It's almost 70 percentage, more than 70 percentage. So why Terraform has been used this much, and what is the advantage of Terraform? So one major advantage is, of course, it is open source tool, and also the support of multi-cloud is one major advantage with Terraform. You can parallelly use AWS, parallelly use Azure, you can parallelly use GCP, Google Cloud. So you can use any cloud service providers that you can think of using Terraform. So that is the coolest thing in Terraform. It has so many features, and so that makes it standing out when compared to other AAC tools. So I would like to show you a small demo of how Terraform works in first place. So it's time for some practical stuff. So this is the Terraform code. So it has set up in the modules. The agenda here is I have a VPC, and I inside the VPC I am going to deploy two EC2 instances, and I'm going to do the traffic. This is um, a simple web application deployment. Uh, I just want to show you the simple web application deployment using Terraform in AWS. So I have declared two EC2 instances. This count is 2, and I have configured a load balancer, application load balancer, that route the traffic to both the EC2 instances. So we have BC, and yeah, so this is it. So now this is my AWS account. If you can see here, there is no EC2 instances, nothing, no resources. If you can see, balancers, nothing. It's a clean slate of my account. So, like in a few minutes, how it's going to spin up all the resources in this particular account. So just we are 3 comments away. We need to initialize Terraform so that it will download all the required providers, and that is providers is AWS providers. It will automatically download all the plugins that is required to execute this thing. So it is showing that it's successfully initialized. So the next command is Terraform plan. Terraform plan shows what are the resources going to deploy in the AWS, and you can see here how many resources are going to deploy, and how it is going to deploy in AWS. So if you can see here, totally 18 resources are going to get deployed, which includes the VPC, which is called the test VPC, the subnet. So 2 subnets for 2 EC2 instances will be placed in 2 subnets across 2 availability zones. So if you can see here, the route table association, the internet gateway, the security that allows traffic from ALB to EC2, and from the outside. So this is group configurations. So this is the EC2 security configuration. And if you can see here, this is the EC2 instance. So this is the second EC2 instance. And see here, this is the first EC2 instance. So it will, so this is the load balancer target group, and this is the load listener. Everything is there. So if you can see here, this is the load balancer AWS LB, the resource name. And so overall 18 resources going to be deployed now in a minute. And this is an output. Okay, once all the resources get deployed, it will display here the DNS name of the load balancer, so that we can pick up the load balancer name, and if we put it in the browser as the output, which means I have already configured here, I have given a set of commands to execute in the launched instances, which will deploy a simple text called hello world. So if you can go to EC2, if you can see here, a simple hello world message will be placed in index.html that will be displayed in the browser. So let's go ahead and apply. Okay, so it will ask for our confirmation whether we really need to apply or not. So we need to provide yes. Of course, we want to apply. Of course, it will take some time. It will take some 3 minutes or so to deploy all the resources. So this is how we can simply just declare the code, and then with 3 commands it will deploy all the resources. If it is 100, even if it is 100 or more than 100 resources, it will be get deployed easily in AWS effortlessly. So this is a cool thing about infrastructure as code and Terraform, and of course AWS. So if you can see here, there's a log file with nothing but it logs the version, provider version. So in this case, it is 3.75.1. So it has locked the version. And this is a cool thing in Terraform, and one such unique, unique thing when it compared to other tools. This is a state file where it maintains all the record, the real-time infrastructure, and our actual Terraform code. So you can see here, you can see all the whatever resources are going to be created and what it will be managed using Terraform state. So it's quickly getting created. It's installing all the required applications or softwares using the remote executioner. So it is starting the service HTTPD service here. And it has installed all the dependencies, files, everything, and it's started the HTTPD service as well. Now it is in the process of creating the application, which would be the last thing that will be. So give it some time. And if you can see here in my console, if you can refresh here, you can see the server is already up and running. Server 0 and server 1 is already up and running. And the load balancer is in the process of getting created. It's provisioning. It's in the state of provisioning. And if you can see, go to the VPC, you can see the test VPC there. Which is already could have provisioned. You can see here, this is the VPC that we have provisioned with the CIDR block. This CIDR block. And it's still provisioning. Let's give it some time. These instances are already created, and public IP address has been allocated to each EC2 instance as one private IP address and public IP address. And we can see here all the operations are recorded in this state file. So this is very important. This state file is very important in Terraform, that maintains all the records. It matches every time when it undergoes some changes. It used to match it with the AWS, the real-time infrastructure in the AWS and the current code. So it will always make sure that our existing code, it should be matched with the real-time infrastructure. So it's still creating. You can see here. There are 2 subnets already created. We have created 2 public subnets, 2 availability zones, US East 1A and US East 1B. So this is the range we have given. So everything is created, sub VPC, EC2 instances, and the last thing is the load balancers provisioning. See, now it is active. And if you can go to the console, you can see apply complete successfully. And the DNS name LB is this one. So if you can pick up this DNS LB, DNS name of the load balancer, if you can take this, and if you quickly put it in the browser, and you can see that it displays the hello world message, as you can see here. So this is how you deploy a web application in AWS using Terraform. So if you can see, in the matter of minutes, 18 resources have been deployed just like that. So this is the cool thing about Terraform. And we don't forget to destroy, as it is no more required for us. So in the matter of minutes, like it created all the resources. Now it's time to destroy all the resources as well. So again, we'll ask for the confirmation whether we need to destroy it or not. Yeah. Now if you can see here, 18 to destroy, right? If we give answer to confirm, I just want to destroy it. See, it's destroying abruptly. We need to be careful with this command. It's somewhat destructive command. As you can see here now in the console. If you refresh, you can notice that the load balancer is no more. If you can go to EC2 instances, you can and refresh it, you can start. You can see that it start shutting down just like that. So if you refresh, the last thing that would destroy would be subnet and then VPCs. Once it destroy completely all the EC2 instances and load balancer, and it will destroy the public subnets and VPC. So that's pretty much about I wanted to show you a simple case of how to deploy a web application using Terra AWS. So again, thank you so much for joining this session. Thanks for your patience, and thank you so much for joining this session, joining this conference, and wish you all the very best in your career. And if you have any
The next session is on how to start a career in DevOps. So Ravish has prepared a very good video where he'll be guiding everybody how exactly to start a career in DevOps. So enjoy the video.
Hey guys, my name is Ravish and welcome back to today's session. So in today's video, we are going to talk about how to start your career in DevOps. So this is one of the questions that has been asked since quite a lot uh, time, that how do we start our career in DevOps? So there are a lot of people who are freshers. There are a lot of people who are into some other like manual testing, business analyst, or some other QA profession who want to change their career into DevOps. So this is the topic for today. A bit brief introduction about myself. My name is Ravish, and I work as a DevOps consultant uh, in in one of the companies, and I have around 10 years of experience into DevOps and a bit of cloud. So I started my career as a developer. I worked there for around 3 years, and after that, I started learning more about DevOps and technology related to cloud. I started my career from Azure. After that, I worked for AWS, and today I've worked for GCP as well. So it's a bit of everything that I've worked upon. All right, so let's start the topic for today. So if you can see on my screen, the topic is how to start your career in DevOps. So let's talk about the agenda for today. So the first thing that we are going to talk about is what exactly is DevOps. So that's the first thing that we're going to talk about, because moving forward, we have to have a basic idea that what exactly is DevOps over here. All right. Then the next thing we are talking about is why DevOps. Why do we need DevOps in our daily life? So that would be the second thing. After that, we'll be talking about the DevOps workflow. How does the company these days, how the organization these days work on DevOps. All right. After that, we're going to talk about from where to start your DevOps journey. So we have divided into phases: in first phase, second phase, and third phase. And if you follow exactly what has been told in these phases, you'll be able to learn DevOps very easily, and you can distribute some time, like 1 month, 2 months, or over a period of 6 months. You can distribute it, and after that, you'll be able to learn it. All right. And at the end, we are going to take the question and answer. So if you have any question, feel free to comment below. Feel free to drop your comments below. All right. So that we're going to discuss. So let's get started. So what exactly is DevOps? So DevOps is a combination of two things: development and operation. All right. So if you can see on this screen, this is your organization, what you do, what you build, you test. There is a delivery pipeline between the customers and your company. Take an example of any application. The like WhatsApp is one of those applications that you generally use on a daily basis. So what happens is, this is your company, and let us say that you're working in WhatsApp. All right. So what you're going to do over here, you are going to send a release to customers. You have to send a new feature to the customer. So what you will do, so the people in the company will build some code. You have to run some test cases on it, and then you'll release it to the market. And after that, once you start using it, you'll give some feedback, and then we as a DevOps engineer have to monitor it and then plan it accordingly for the next build. All right. So if you talk about Amazon's definition, it is something like DevOps is a combination of cultural philosophies, practices, and tools that increases an organization ability to deliver application and service it at high velocity, evolving and improving product as a faster pace than organization using traditional software developments and infrastructure management processes. So this speed enables organization to better serve their customers and compete more effectively in the market. So this is a basic definition of DevOps. All right. So let's talk about Why do we need DevOps? The first thing is fast. It enables faster development, deployment, and delivery. So let's take an example of a developer who is working on some kind of a feature, and whenever he wants to test his application, what he'll do is he'll just add his code into some kind of SCM. So what exactly is SCM? It's source code management, and then we are going to talk about more later. But for now, you can just understand what an SCM is: a place where you put your code. All right. So that developer is going to put his code into an SCM, and after that, we as a DevOps engineer will take care of it, and then he can just put that code. There would be one-click deployment or zero-click deployment, and within a few minutes, he would be able to see his code. So if his code is running properly, then I think he'll move on to some other features. He would move on to fix some other bug. So that will be the thing that he's going to do. So it enables the faster development, which like processes for faster deployment and the delivery to the customer. So this is the first thing. The next thing is predictability. So predictability means over here that you will have lower failure rates. So how? So if there is some feature that needs to be developed, a new feature has to be developed, what we will do is we'll give them a whole infrastructure to the developers. They'll build their code. They'll put their code into some kind of SCM like GitHub or something. They'll test their code at every check-in, and after that, they'll be able to test if everything is working fine or not. If they want to run regression tests, they can run that. If they want to test the single module or single application that they have been working on, they can test that, and that can be tested, and you can find out that there is no error, or whatever the error is, that can be fixed. So it is very much essential for the lower failure rates, and that is for predictability. Is the next thing is reproducibility. So we have something known as versions. So versions in, let's say, today whatever application that you have been using is not exactly the same that you have been using since last 3 months, or in the future there will be something that will be added extra. Let's take an example of WhatsApp again. So people who have been using WhatsApp since last 5-6 years, they know that previously when it was introduced, there was only one thing that you would be able to send only messages. Now you can have a voice call, now you can have a video call, now you can send videos, you can send a lot of stuff, links, you can start your stories, you can put some status and then share on YouTube and stuff. This is a lot that has been done. So this is some kind of versions. And if anything goes haywire while production, while running of the application, you can always come back to the previous version and then deploy it. So it is reproducibility that you need to understand. We need for DevOps. All right. Then quality. Then again, this is kind of related to the second point, which is predictability, that greater quality as the code has been tested a lot. For example, any code that a developer has written might have some bugs, might have some code vulnerabilities. He might have written something. He might have passed some passwords or usernames over there, and once it is tested, you will come to know that okay, this is vulnerability, and that should be removed. So it improves the quality of the code. So there are tools for that, and we're going to discuss in further in this video. All right. The next thing is security. Again, the bugs and the vulnerabilities. So security is, you know, that one of the very burning issue in today's world. So if your application is not secure, if anyone can access it and steal your messages, steal your content, and steal your stuff, that would be an issue. So finding bugs and vulnerabilities is one of those things. And if you know that there is one more stream known as DevSecOps, development security operations. So security is added to this in terms of DevSecOps, and it is one of the new professions that people have learned about and people are moving to. It is kind of one of the branches. All right. So this is the security part, and then manageable. So what happens is, if you have a bit of information about agile, it kinds of relate, you would be able to relate to that. So it breaks larger code base into smaller pieces. How? Let's say you have to write a huge module, but that huge module might be having some small parts, right? Okay, this feature 1, feature 2, and feature n. So you can deliver that feature 1, feature 2, and feature 3. So if you are going to push all of your code, all of the features at once, there is a high chance of getting it broken, high chance of getting errors. So what you do is you do feature by feature, like feature 1, feature 2, or 2 features at one time. So it's easy for people to manage it, because if 10 features are there and then all of them has a problem, then it could be an issue for your developers and testers. And if you go one by one, then it would be much more manageable for you. So that's why we need DevOps. All right. So this is now DevOps workflow. So if you can see on my screen, so there are two parts to it: dev, if you can see over this, and then this is ops, and total 8 activities. And this does not resort to only these activities. Teams, depending organization, depending on their requirement, depending on their ask, can change it. All right, so do not get confused if you see something extra or something not over here. All right, so the first thing is planning. In planning, when you decide what feature do you want, how do you want it, so that's the first thing. And then you have to write the code. In that code you'll write the code. So if how plan and code are related, in plan, whenever there is a feature proposed, or if there is a new project, you have to decide what language you are using. You'll be writing your code in Java, C Sharp, .NET, Python, or any sort of language. You're going to plan it in the first stage. After that you just start coding. All right, and then once the code is done, for example, let's say very basic thing, your code is in Java, and then you have to build that code. So for building, what you will do, you build a file out of it, an artifact out of it. So that artifact would be what? A jar file, a war file, or an EAR file. So that jar file would be Java archive file, a war file if it's a web application, a EAR file if it's an enterprise application. EAR is enterprise archive. So these are the things. So you will use build tools for that. What are the build tools? We're going to talk about in the future in this video. And then test, you will test. So let's say it's a web-based application. You're going to run a Selenium test on it. There are multiple tests available. There are JUnit tests, and there are NUnit, XUnit, and Karma test. There are a lot of other tests. So you're going to put that. After that, what you will do, this is the dev part that is completed. After that, what you will do, you will release the product. And then once you release the product, there are environments. So first environment is the dev environment, then staging environment, then pre-prod, then production environment, UAT environment. And again, I'm going to say that, I'm going to just reiterate the same point, that these things are not exactly the same in every organization. Every organization has a bit of their DevOps definition, their DevOps practices and stuff. The main idea is the same, but their applications, the way of their application could be different. So it's not a hard and fast rule that you're going to find all of these in one company. All right, and then you deploy the code to the higher environments or lower environments. Now, when I talk about higher environments and lower environment, higher environments means that something that is exposed to the client, to the user, the people. So that's a higher environment or production environment. And then lower environment means your dev, QA environment, a bit of staging environment as well. All right, and then you operate on that, and then you monitor it. How you monitor it, we are going to talk about that as well. So this is a very basic workflow of a DevOps engineer, DevOps. Now, the burning question, from where to start. So I have been bombarded with a lot of questions that, sir, I'm working in this industry for last 2-3 years, and there is no scope for that, and this is something that we need to understand. How do I start my career? Or there are people who have been into other professions. Who I personally know people who have been into electrical engineering, and then they want to come to IT. And then there are people who have been working into manual testing, and they want to change their career to DevOps. So let's talk about the burning question, that from where to start if you are confused. All right. So the first thing I'm always going to say, break it into chunks, divide and conquer. Break it into chunks. If you're going to see a problem as like one huge problem, then it would be really intimidating. So don't do that. Divide into phases. And how you're going to do it, I'm going to explain it to you today itself in this video. The first one, the baby steps. All right. So the baby steps, you know how a baby learns running, right? He first he crawls, then he stands, and then he starts walking. So take the baby steps first. Second, start walking. Once you learn how you stand, then you learn how you walk, and then you start running. So divide it into 3 phases. First, the baby steps. Second would be start walking, and third would be running. So the baby steps. The first thing and the foremost thing, I have been always saying that start from scripting. Either pick one scripting, batch, shell, or PowerShell. Okay. So how do we divide them? So there are two types of environment that are generally for Linux and Windows environment. All right. So more than 80 to 90% of the world's DevOps servers in which DevOps works are Linux, and then rest are like other environments like uh, your Windows environment. All right. So if you want to work on Windows for the scripting, a lot of people use PowerShell. All right, and a few people use Batch as well, but Batch is kind of old, so it is not much used in these days. PowerShell is like kind of used. All right, and then when you want to work in the shell Linux environment, then you have to use shell scripting or Bash scripting, BASH, that you have to use. And people who think that okay, we do not need scripting, you need scripting if you want to come into DevOps. So that's the first thing. The next thing is a programming language, and Python is one of those programming language which is very easy to pick. It's totally dependent upon you which programming language you want to pick. You want to pick Java, you want to pick some other language, which is fine. But easy to pick is Python language. In my YouTube channel, there is a course for that. There is a course for Bash scripting, and Python scripting as well. You can check out my videos. I'll explain in the last slide. All right. So there is one more thing. People who want to switch their careers into from dev, even from dev to DevOps, from business analyst to DevOps, from performance engineer or QA to DevOps, think that okay, I don't have to do coding, so let's go into DevOps. No, that's a myth. Please do not do that, and please do not think about that. If you are moving into DevOps, you don't have to write code. So Python is easy to pick, but you have to write code, and please be aware about it. All right. So let's move on to other things. Second is Go. Go is kind of recently since last few years, and people are picking it up. So you can pick one of those, or if you want to pick Java, that is totally fine. All right. The next thing is SCM, which I talked about in the first slide. SCM is source code management. So what is source code management? Place where you put your code. All right. So there would be a developer who will write his code. He's going to put it into some kind of repository. All right. So Git. So Git is basically a protocol, a software that is downloaded. Do not get confused between Git and GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket. Git is the main thing, and on top of it, people have built GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, and other things. All right. Do not get confused between Git and GitHub. GitHub is online hosting. You can check it out. People generally use GitHub. It's very famous. There is one more GitLab, and Atlassian has their own Bitbucket. You can take a look at that. So I hope you have heard about this. All right. And then there is SVN. SVN is also known as Subversion. It is kind of old. And then we have Perforce. We have RTC, Rational Transfer Concert from IBM. So I'm sorry if I've messed up with the full form, but RTC Concert is IBM's product that is being used. All right. So these are the SCM. So if you even know one, then it's fine. You can take a look at my channel for this course. Operating system. All right. So operating system. Obviously, you are going to work in a PC or a laptop or something. You are going to have an operating system on that. As I've already told, and will iterate that Linux is the preferred one because 80 to 90% of the servers in the world are on Linux. All right. So you can pick Linux, and if you are in the initial stage, like you are less than 2 years or less than 3 years of experience, you need to know at least basics of Linux, and how, like Linux admin stuff, what is sudo, how to check what is stop command, how to check which process is using a lot of memory, and this you have to have a knowledge on. And on Windows, you need to know how to run stuff. Windows is kind of a lot of people use that, but if you want to come into the field of DevOps, you must know Linux as well. All right. So these are the two operating systems that you need to know. And then build tools. So I was talking about the build tools, right? So the place I was talking about, the war file, the air file, and the jar file. Who will build it? If your code is in Java, your Maven will build it. Ant is a new tool. It was named as a new tool, but it's kind of old, so a lot of people do not use it. Maven is very famous, and a lot of people use it. So Maven is one of the old. You give the goals in Maven, and then you can create a artifact out of it. All right. So these are the this is one of the things that you need to have in the phase one. And then artifact management. So now the thing is, if you are going to produce an artifact, if you are going to produce a jar file, a war file, or an air file, where are you going to put it? You're not going to just pick it up and put it in some kind of server or some kind of place, from physical place from where people will come and take it. No, that's a bad idea. Put it on JFrog, put it on Nexus, put it on Azure Artifacts. Azure Artifacts, another thing, we'll talk about that as well. So just understand it, kind of an artifactory. JFrog is an artifactory where you can connect and you can put your artifact, and you will give the access to all other people, and then those people will download it from their JFrog. JFrog and Nexus kind of work on the same principle that you are going to follow. All right, so this is artifact management or artifactory that you're going to use. And then CI/CD tools. So CI/CD, once you have done all these things, you start picking CI/CD tools. Now in CI/CD tools, the most famous is Jenkins. So most automation is used through Jenkins. And then we have TeamCity, again the same principle but a different product. And then for deployment, we have Octopus Deploy. It takes your artifacts, keeps the artifact, and deployed into the servers. It's very good software. I've personally worked on it. And then we have Circle CI and GitLab. I think also have their CI/CD. All right. So if you are looking for Jenkins course, it is also available on my channel. You can take a look. All right. So these are the first these are the steps that you need to follow in the phase one. So if you can just take a pause over here, you can just write down, or you can just take a screenshot over here and then save them. I would like to tell that if you have a pen and paper, then you can write it down, because it's one of the most important things that you need to learn if you want to start your career in DevOps. All right. So if these things are clear, let's move to the second phase. Okay. So in the second phase, I've already told that you have to start working. Let's talk about network and security. So network and security means you need to know what is HTTPS, HTTP, hypertext transfer protocol, FTP, file transfer protocol, SSL, secret socket layer, and then TLS, the DNS, and OSI model. So if you come from an engineering background, if you have you must have heard about this OSI model. You must have heard about the layers, the presentation layer, the network layer, there are 7 layers. All right. So you have to study all of them, how do they work. So it is not expected if you are less than 2 to 3 years of experience, but if you go to mid senior position, people accept you to understand the networking security, because these are the things that has been asked. I have personally got the question, and if I take interviews, I also ask the same. All right. And then I was talking about the vulnerabilities and bug when I was talking, right? So this is SonarQube and Checkmarx. So SonarQube and Checkmarx are used for your static analysis and static analysis code test, system testing. So in that code, whatever there are vulnerabilities, there could be code smells, there could be technical debt, there could be a lot of stuff that has been piling up and you don't know about it. So these are the two software that you are going to use for the code security, the vulnerabilities. All right. So SonarQube, the developer version is free of cost, and even if you are a student or a fresher who don't want to spend money, you can download SonarQube and go through the videos how to use SonarQube. All right. So and Checkmarx is paid. So if you're looking for starters, you can go with SonarQube. There is something known as White Source as well. I'm not sure whether it's free or not. So you can take a look at that as well. All right. Next, the servers. Now servers we have divided into two parts. One is the web server. So if you are working on a Windows environment, then you need to know IIS. So I think its full form is information server, something related to that. You can take a look. I do not remember it right now. And then there is one Apache server, and then there is one Apache Tomcat. Do not get confused between Apache server and Apache Tomcat. Both of them are managed by Apache Foundation, but they are two different things. All right. And then you have Nginx for load balancing and stuff. How does it work? You can take a look at my videos. How does Nginx work? And then these are the things in the web servers that you need to know about, because you will be working on an application, right? So the developer will pick the code. Sorry, developer will write the code, put it into some kind of SCM, and then you will pick that code. After that, you have to deploy it over somewhere, right? And if it's a web-based application, you need a web server for that. So that's why you need to know what exactly is happening. And if there is a lot of traffic that is happening on them, then you need to know how to load balance it. So you can study about Nginx as well. All right. After that, we talk about databases. Now, every application that you have been using is talking to a database. All right. So there are two types of database: NoSQL like MongoDB, and the other database is MySQL and MS SQL. All right. So these are the database that you need to know. If you do not need to know like 100% of it as a DB admin, because you guys are not DB admin, but you need to have an information how to run queries, how to create tables, how to run DDL command, DML command, and these commands. You have to have an idea of that, because if tomorrow you are going to run some script and you're going to check that code, you need to know these basics commands. All right. So have a bit of idea on and how does NoSQL and the other type of database works. So you have to work on that. All right. Now, one of the most important thing is infrastructure as a code. Now, what happens is a lot of people, what they do is they run their code. When they want to create an infrastructure, what they do is they go inside some kind. Let's say take an example of Azure. So in Azure, they'll go inside, they'll click, and then they'll create an infrastructure out of it. But I don't want to spend my time like that, because manual effort is kind of time consuming, and I do not have that much time for that. So what I'll do is I'll learn something that will create my infrastructure just by running it. So what do we have for that? We have AWS CloudFormation and Terraform. AWS CloudFormation is already, the name suggests, AWS Amazon Web Services. They provide their own native code. It's in YAML. You can write it in YAML, and you just have to write that code and then run it. You will create a stack and then run that code, and your infrastructure would be created. Now, if you'll go manually create it, it will take like 10-20 minutes, and then if you do it from there, then it will create in 5 minutes. So you will make faster. The work of a DevOps is to make things, automate things, and consume less time. So this is CloudFormation. Terraform is again the same work, but it is platform agnostic. So you can use it on GCP, Azure, and Terraform. Only a few things like provider you need to change, and a few things, and then you would be able to create the infrastructure. And this infrastructure means almost anything from EC2 server to DB, from Redis, everything you would be able to create. So I think there are more than 250 services, and Terraform has code for almost everything. If you want to study more about Terraform, you can go to the official website. From there, you will be able to see more of it. All right. So this is for Terraform. And then Azure has ARM, Azure Resource Manager, and recently they have worked on Bicep. So these three things are for separately. CloudFormation is for AWS, Terraform is for anything platform agnostic, and ARM is for mostly is for Azure. All right. So these are the things. Now for the monitoring part, monitoring I was talking about, right? How do you monitor? How is your application behaving? So you can learn about Grafana, you can learn about Prometheus, New Relic, and CheckMK. So these things will tell you how is your monitor is performing. How your server is performing, how your DB is performing. You can have the logs. So Grafana and Prometheus can work together as well. You can create a time series database in Prometheus, and then from there all the logs will be read. You have to run. It has its I think PromQL, its own query language. From there you can just get the data and study more about the data. Okay, what is happening, and it will have what type of service it is running, what type of resource it is running. So it is one of the mainly used these days. And then you can direct these logs to Grafana. Grafana can read these logs. It has its own plugins. So those plugins, what you can do is you can just install those plugins and have a very beautiful view, like pie charts, graphs, histogram, and stuff. All right. So these are the things that you can do. And monitoring is very important, because if your servers are going down, then it means your application will take a hit, and you do not want that, because that's business, and your company, whatever your company is doing, it'll it'll be affected. So monitoring is very important. So this is something that you need to know in the phase 2. And once you know this, I'll be expecting you somewhere around 5 to 8 years of experience. And if you know all about this, then it's really great. You can easily get a job inside in IT industry with this much of experience. All right. Now let's talk about the last part, which is let's run. So for senior people, even who are 7 years, 8 years of experience, and so on, they talk about these stuff. So first is containerization. So in containerization, Docker is one of the very famous. There is one more, others as well, ext and stuff, and etc. A lot of things are there, but containerization is mostly famous these days is because of Docker. So Docker is one of those technologies that you need to know. Docker is one of the revolutionary technology that has removed the virtual VMs. You need to know what exactly the problem that Docker was trying to resolve and has resolved. It has saved a lot of place. How it works on the hardware, what kernel does it work on, how it works on Linux, how it works on Windows environment, what is port mapping, what is volume mapping, and there's a lot of stuff that you can talk about in Docker. It's one of the very famous technology. So this is one thing that you need to talk about, need to learn about in the third phase. The next thing is container orchestration. And Kubernetes and Docker Swarm are very famous. Kubernetes is very famous these days, and almost if you go for any interview for a senior position or a mid-senior position, they might ask you questions on Kubernetes. I am thinking and I'm predicting it that there would be a time when if you do not know Kubernetes for a senior position, they might not even entertain your resume, or they might not even take your interview. So this is one of the things that you need to learn about Kubernetes, how to what exactly is pod, how it is working, what is the architecture, and this stuff. Docker Swarm resolves the same problem, but it's not that famous as Kubernetes, and it's kind of a bit difficult. Kubernetes is comparatively easier. I'm saying comparatively easier, so do not get confused. Comparatively easier than Docker Swarm, but yes, you can spend some time and learn it. All right, let's move on to the configuration management. Configuration management, we have Ansible, Puppet, Chef, and Salt. I'll give you an example. Why do we need configuration management? For example, there is one server. You have to change the password. You have to create a new username and password. And what you'll do, you just go inside, create it. That's all. But let's say there are thousands of servers, and you have to create same user in all of the servers. How will you do it? You won't go in thousand servers, right? Because if it takes 1 minute to create, and that's on the lower end part, that if it's going to take 1 second to create that, it'll be taking 1,000 seconds. All right, so you use Ansible, Puppet, Chef, and so on. So there are two things to do that. One is polling and one is pushing. Polling in the sense, there would be a master node, there would be a slave node that is going to talk to master node, or there will be some changes that needs to push. That you can go to their Ansible, Puppet, and Chef and Salt stacks original documentation. There would be that would be available, and study more about this. So this is what we need for configuration management. And people expect, when you are in senior position, people expect these kind of. So Ansible is kind of must. So if you know it, great. And the final thing and the final nail in the coffin is, when this is all about DevOps, which whatever we have talked about. Now let's talk about cloud. So now these days, what is happening is, whenever there's a DevOps position, they expect you to know cloud as well. DevOps is one thing, cloud is one separate thing. So do not get confused that these things are same, because they are not. And people have a myth. There is a one video on my channel in which I talk about the myths that we have in DevOps world, that DevOps cannot exist without cloud. It's a myth. That's not how it works. Cloud is one separate entity. You might or might not have it, but DevOps exists without cloud as well. But nowadays, people expect, whenever you go for DevOps position, people expect you for to cloud as well. So let's talk about those. So first is Amazon Web Services. So what is it? Amazon Web Services? Amazon Web Services again provide you it's a public cloud, and provide you a lot of services that you can take a look. You can create an account on that. It's free of cost. You just need to have a credit card for that, and then they'll charge you one or two rupees for the first time. After that, they'll give you some credits, and you can study for that. All right, but make sure do not leave your service is open, otherwise it's going to deduct the money. First it will go from your credits, then will go from your pocket. Okay, so be aware of that. Azure is again the second one, very famous. AWS is the most famous one, Azure, and then we talk about GCP. GCP is Google Cloud Platform from Google, obviously, and then Azure is from Microsoft, and AWS is from Amazon. So these are the, we have Alibaba as well, which is very famous, but a lot of people do not use it. Then we have IBM Bluemix as well, I guess. If I'm, and then we have OCI as well. OCI is for Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, used by Oracle. All right. And then we have OpenStack as well. So these are the things that you need to know in terms of cloud if you are in phase 3. So I hope you guys have understood the first phase, second phase, and third phase part. Distribute your stuff in such a way that, let's say I'm going to take phase 1 for 1.5 months or 1 month, and then second I'm going to take 2 months, and third I'm going to take for 3 months or 2 months, and have a practical stuff on that. And if you want to start your career into DevOps, start doing it. I mean, do not just study like people have videos and then they study, do not do anything practical. Do not do that, because tomorrow if you're going for an interview and then you tell them, okay, I have not been working on this, but I have learned this, he'll ask you like, what exactly you have done. So if you'll just keep on speaking from your mouth, he'll just ask you that talk is cheap, show me the code or show me the stuff that you have done. So this is one of those things you need to learn and you need to understand. So yeah, I'm done here. So if you want to connect with me, this is my name is Ravi Shrawat. If you can see, this is how it looks on LinkedIn, and then you can ping me, send me a friend request, and I'll connect to you. And if you want to follow me, follow on this channel. This is Logic Ops Lab, and you can follow me. Currently, I'm working on DevOps interview questions on Python. So that's what I'm currently doing right now. And I generally post 1 or 2 videos every week, and just it's free of cost. You can just download them, and I do have a repository from at play GitHub on GitHub where I put my code, and then you can take a look and download stuff from there. Yeah, I think I'm good over here. If you guys have any question, feel free to ask me. Yes, I'm available now. Okay, so the first question that has appeared on my screen: how to get DevOps job without experience. Okay, first of all, never believe if someone say that someone is going to give you a DevOps job without experience. If you're a fresher, there is a high you won't get a DevOps job. But it's not like that. It's not like that that you cannot get a chance. What exactly happens in the fresher case? People who were fresher, I have hired them without experience, but not experience in the industry. But what you can do is you can whatever phases that I have talked about, phase one, phase two, phase three. I do not expect you as a fresher to know everything in phase two or everything in phase three. I do not expect, but you need to have what exactly is a DevOps mindset, what is an SRE mindset. How do we do? You need to know a bit about branching strategies, things people talk about. You need to know what exactly is Git, basic knowledge of Git. You can learn this Git within second year or third year or fourth year of your engineering, or if you are from MCA background, you can learn even from that. So if you are applying for a DevOps job without industry experience, then you need to at least have phase one in your bucket. Okay. Do not go like saying, okay, I do not understand what exactly is Git. Oh, I came to DevOps job without knowing that I don't need any kind of scripting or DevOps experience. Oh, I thought that DevOps would be easy, so let's apply to that job. So that's not the thing, guys. So if you want to get a job from DevOps as a fresher, you need to know at least the phase one, and I will be more than happy to entertain your resume if you know that. But if you're expecting to get exactly the developer DevOps job when you're fresher, that does not happen. I'll tell you in a scenario why it does not happen. So what happens is, if you are a fresher and you do not know anything about it, you do not have any sort of training in that. If I take you in my team, and tomorrow, if I gave you some kind of server, let's say it's highly unlikely to happen, but if I give some kind of access to the higher environment, and if you messed something up, so that will come on the lead, that will come on me, that who has given you the access for this. So in order to have a DevOps job is different from what you do on development side. It's different from what you do on the QA side. Okay, development you can start on any day, but for DevOps you need to have some practices that people need to know. So I think if you want to get a DevOps job without experience, you need to build a profile, at least have a GitHub account in which you are writing the script. You need to know about TeamCity, you need to know about Jenkins, you need to know about Git and how the workflow. Create a project, put it on GitHub, and at the time of interview, show it, flex it, that okay, this is the project that I have done, this is the project that I have done, this is the artifact that I have created, this is the artifact. I'll be more than happy and more than amazed that if as a fresher you have done this, I'll be more than happy to give you a job, DevOps job without the industry experience in my company. So any other questions? Okay, this is a very interesting question, and everybody wants to know it. That what exactly is a DevOps job salary? And right now in 2022, the market is very hot for DevOps. Okay, so I have personally known people. So let us divide it into subsections. Okay, so 1 to 3 years, 3 to 6 years, and then 6 years to 8 years, and after that 10 years. All right. So in 1 to 3 years, if you go for a service-based company, all right, you already know that what is service-based company and what is product-based company. You already know an idea. If a mass recruiter hires you, I think they will give you some 3.1, 3.2, 3.75 lakhs. Okay. And then they train you like companies who train you on stuff, and then they give 3 lakhs or so. Let's not talk about that. All right. If you're going in a startup or something as a fresher, learning these tools, and then within 6 months to 1 year, you started learning almost everything, you can get up to 4 to 6 lakhs very easily within 1 or 2 years of experience. All right. Then you move from 3 to 6 years of experience. I have hired people in other companies. I've taken interviews in other company who has got up to 15 lakhs at the experience of less than 6 years. 15 lakhs at the experience of 6 years. So this is what I have had. After that, when you talk about senior positions, like from 7 years to 8 years, it starts from 15 lakhs and it goes till 40 lakhs easily. So people who have been thinking that okay, how much I can grow in SRE or in DevOps job, from 8 to 12 years, you can easily look for 30 to 40 lakhs and even more than that. And once you become an architect out of it, DevOps architect plus cloud architect, the opportunities are huge, seamless. I mean, you can crack up to 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs or something. So it totally depends which company you are applying. It totally depends what skill set do you have. And as I've already said, I'll reiterate it. Every company has their own definition of DevOps or an SRE. SRE is Site Reliability Engineer. All right, it's a word coined by Google. So every company has their own definition, and a few companies call people DevOps because they just click on Jenkins and the build will run and they'll get the result. From 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, this is fine. But if you want to grow into this field, this there is phase one, phase two, phase three, which I talked about. You need to learn, and then salaries are seamless. I'll just again reiterate. For like 2 to 3 years, up to 6 lakhs, you can easily go. At somewhere around 10 years, you can easily go till 30, and after that, you can go 40, 50, and totally depending on your company. Okay, so this is the average DevOps salary for people. Okay, any other question? When an intern is taken for DevOps role, what is their roles and responsibility? Will they be handling any project? Great question. Let's say I have taken you as an intern for DevOps role. So what I'll do is, first of all, you won't be given any higher environment work. So do not be confused that they'll just directly put you into some kind of production role. No. First of all, if you are an intern, there would be someone to lead you. Let's say there is a team lead or a manager. What he will do is you just have to shadow him. Okay. So if the manager is there, he will tell you, okay, these are the tools and technologies that we used. What he will ask you, okay, he'll give you either a Udemy account, he'll give you a Pluralsight account, or some other account. He'll ask you to first study about these tools. So let's say if you are a fresher and do not know much about it, I'll just give you these tools and technologies, and I'll ask you, like, within 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, please study all of them and be ready. And after 2 or 3 weeks, once you have done with it, I'll explain you the whole project. There will be project KT. In that KT, I'll ask you, okay, this is your roles and responsibilities. So if you are intern and you want to have a roles and responsibility, so the first thing would be monitoring in terms of, okay, this is the Slack channel. Slack is again something through which we talk inside a company. It's something like Skype, something like Teams, something like Google Chat and Google Hangouts, something like that. Okay, and they'll ask you to monitor stuff first understand how the system works, and then they'll give you access for their GitHub code. In GitHub code, what they'll do is they'll show you, okay, this is the code, and just try to understand, because there would be already existing pipelines, and they'll ask you, okay, this is the pipeline, this is the first step, what is happening, checking out of code. Second step, what is happening, building of code. Third, what is happening, testing of code. After that, deployment. After that, release. So he'll ask you to understand stuff, and once you are there over for 6 months to 1 year, they'll ask you to, the manager or the team lead will ask you to shadow you. So for example, if I am the team lead and you are a DevOps intern under me, what I'll do is I'll do the deployment and I'll ask you to follow me. Follow in the sense, you just have to wait and watch what is happening. I'll just do tick tick tick, and this is what is happening, this is what is happening. And either I'll record a session, or either I'll ask you to have a pen and paper, and then after that you just have to write what exactly I did. 2 to 3 times I'll do. In the fourth time, I'll ask you to do it and I will follow. So I will shadow you. So you will start doing, and then at every step you can confirm, okay, Ravish, this is what I'm doing. Is it correct? I'll say yes. You go forward. And 2, 3 times after explaining you, I think from fifth or sixth time, you would be able to do the deployment. And this comes over like 1 year, 2 years, something. So as a DevOps intern, these would be your DevOps roles and responsibility. One more thing, you need to know how we have our branching strategies, how we use dev branch, how we use master branch, release branch, how many branches do we have, how we do feature branch, how we do back merge. One very good question people get asked in an interview, that what is the branching strategies in terms of when your code goes for a toss means failure in the production environment. How will you do it? Will you cut a branch from dev? Will you cut a branch from production? So these are the roles and responsibilities that an intern needs to know. So do not worry about it. As an intern, you learn a lot, and after 1 or 2 years, you have given production-based responsibilities. Okay, another question is, I think it went away. Should one complete learning all tools at once and then start giving interviews? What do you suggest? Okay, good question. As I said that if you have already divided your work into your learning into phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So there is something known as connecting the dots. Okay. Now, how do you connect the dots in DevOps? First, learn a scripting language. Just do scripting work. Do not learn anything because you will won't be able to connect the dots. Learn scripting, finish it in 1 week, or if it's easier, then you can. If totally depends on how much hours you are putting, how much grind you have in yours, how much hustle you can do. So give it 3 4 days. After that, learn another scripting language. After that, learn another programming language, and then learn build tool. After that, need to learn Jenkins. Once you learn Jenkins, you would be able to create a project, and all of these things, all of these dots, this build was a dot, your scripting was a dot, your Python programming was a dot, this was dot. So you will connect all the dots, and then you will understand the process of continuous integration and continuous delivery. So if you're someone who is just starting, do one thing at a time. Even when I was a fresher, well, fresher in terms of DevOps, not exactly in terms of fresher in the industry. I thought that okay, I can learn stuff into that, and a lot of people what they do is they create some kind of timetables in which say okay, 15 days I have, and then what I'll do is I'll do this in 15 days, I'll do this in 5 days, 5 days, and I'll be a DevOps engineer. No, that does not happen. So this is what you need to learn, and I think within a period of 2 months for an entry level or 1 or 2 years you would be able to start giving interviews. Now before giving interviews, there is one very famous saying that victory loves preparation. So if you want to be victorious, if you want to be victorious in an interview, start looking for videos in which DevOps interview questions are there. Start looking for just Google it out questions, and then try to do a mock interview in the sense someone from the some of your senior can ask you interview. You can stand in front of mirror and then start talking. Okay, what is Git? Okay, how does Git work? What is Git merge? What is the difference between Git merge and Git fetch? How will my branching strategy will work? If there is a failure, how will it work? So take a period of around 1 or 2 months in which prepare at least phase 1, and then start giving interviews. Do not go and interview like this. Okay, sir, I have an intent to do. I am a very good programmer. I will learn everything. I will do the work. Do not do that. Show them stuff. Show them that you have already done it. Show them that in the first year you have done this. Okay, let's say first year is everyone is naive, and in the freshman nobody generally, we just figure out okay, oh, I'm in a college, I'll do musti and stuff. So don't do that. In the second or third year, if you create some kind of program, show them okay, this is what we have done, and then you learn. Just go one by one and not at all once. Okay, any other question? What do you tell women getting into DevOps job after a career break? Okay, great question. So if you're talking about women, especially for example, what happens is career break. Sometimes that happens when women get married. They get some kind of maternity leave, and after that they take care of the child, and after that there is some 1 or 2 or 3 years of gap inside that. Again, the same process. If you want to go inside DevOps, create create the phases and divide the time period. Okay, you have to have a goal. Do not dream about it, just have to have a goal that within a period of 5 months, within a period of 6 months, depending on your for example, like if you have to take care of a child as well, and when the child is young, you have to take a lot of care of the child, sorry. And then what happens is there is a lot of distraction that happens. So design a period. For example, if you're married and then you have a kid, give it to someone else. For example, you can give it to your husband, you can give it to the in-laws and stuff. They can take care of that for around 1 or 2 hours, and then in those 1 or 2 hours just study. Do not have any sort of distraction. And you already have a career break. In that career break, just start making a portfolio out of it. 3 to 6 months. In those 3 to 6 months, what you can do is create all those scripts. So even if you write 1+1, even if you write A+B, write that in a proper program, shell file, that batch file or that PowerShell file, put it on GitHub. Create a repository, put your code over there, because at the time of interview, you can say, okay, this is the career break that I have took, but in the last 1 year is too much. I'm saying within 6 months you can get it. I have done this and I'm ready to roll in the world of DevOps. You need an opportunity. And there are people, if the guy is genuine, if the interviewer is genuine, because I think if you're already on a break, then you would be uh, what do we call that, immediately available, and then immediately available people are given preference on that. So if you can show them that, okay, I have taken a break of 1 year, 3 years or something, then you can easily show them your portfolio. Okay, this is what I have done, these are the scripts that I have run, these are the code that I have written, these are the projects, this is my war file. Even if I can show you something running on my desktop, so when you give an interview, share your screen and show them, okay, this is what I have done, this is the project. And once the people who are interviewing you get inside that soft will look the application, they will ask question on that. So you can just create an environment out of it that people will start asking question on that, and you will definitely get hired. It does not depend on your break, it will depend how much grind you have done in the last 6 or 4 months. So women who have taken break due to any sort of urgency, even not women, even men who take some kind of sabbatical for like 6 months, 1 year, and then they want to come back to some other profession, because technology moves very fast. Within 6 months, within 1 year, a lot of things get changed. All right, so you just have to be aware of it, create a portfolio on your GitHub, and then you can easily move to a world of DevOps. Okay, job portals you suggest for DevOps and cloud job. Okay, so if you are working in India, and the most famous one is Naukri.com, and Naukri.com has a lot of jobs. Even it's one of my portals that not my portals, one of the portals that I have applied to, and the other one is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is kind of my favorite. Why? Because the JD is almost clearly written, and a lot of things are like whenever you want to apply this, just take your resume from there and put it on website. You don't have to do tuck 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 and fill everything. So in fact, it's very easy for me to do that. I think a few things like this is on Naukri.com, but I like the UI part. So LinkedIn is very much, which I suppose to apply. And then Naukri.com, and then there's something known as Indeed.com. It's kind of famous in the US side, and then Monsterjob.com. I think Monster Job. You can just Google it out. So these are the one of the famous ones. And if once you can see and search on those platforms on the job portals, what you can do is some of them redirects you to the website. And if you do not find any job opening in sometimes what happens is the job opening is not available on on the portal on LinkedIn or on Indeed.com, on Monster.com or Naukri.com. You can directly go to website, and then in the career section you can apply it. So that's one of the things that you can do for job application. Okay, what do you have to finally for all the DevOps aspirants? Okay, so at the end, I would like to say that keep on hustling, keep on learning the new tools. Do not limit yourself to one technology. And I've seen a lot of people who study Jenkins and worked on Jenkins, and then they say, okay, I won't work on TeamCity. As an individual, I have worked on TeamCity, I've worked on Jenkins, I've worked on Azure DevOps, the whole life cycle. I've worked on AWS DevOps, I've worked on Octopus Deploy, and a lot of other things. Create a portfolio in such a way that you know almost everything. Okay, be a jack of trades and a master of one technology. That's what I'm going to say in terms of DevOps. And if there are two types of contributors in the industry, one is an individual contributor, which is known as IC role. In that you need to know almost everything, and then you in the other role you contribute for something for one technology. Okay, so I would like to say that in the phase one, you at least as a DevOps in the phase one you at least need to know almost everything, and as your experience begins goes higher, like 8 to 10 years, you need to know till phase three. And at one point you won't do all of this work. You would like to architect, because as you grow for 8 to 10 years, 12 years, 13, they will ask you system design questions. And system design, you don't have to write code. They'll ask you, okay, create an Uber app. How will you do it? So you have to do create. Okay, this is the first thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to create an user data. I'll take user data, and then I'll take a database, and then for the load balancer I'll take this. I'll take information from the driver, I'll take information from this and that. That's you're going to take. So my last advice would be just keep learning, keep hustling, and do not limit to one technology, because every company has its own definition of DevOps. People who might be working on Jenkins might have to work on TeamCity or Octopus Deploy or something, or Azure DevOps or AWS DevOps. You have to have a DevOps mindset, and you just have to have an SRE or DevOps mindset. How things work, just your basics should be clear, because a lot of this happen this in an interview. You might not be knowing the technology, but then you can answer in such a way, okay, I have worked on something like this, so in your scenario it would be something like this. And sometimes that arrow hits the bullseye. So that's you need to know. So that would be my final advice to you guys. Okay, I think the questions are done over here. So thanks, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your comments in the comment section, and I'll try to address that. Do follow me. Do check my account, Logic Ops Lab. I make videos related to DevOps and cloud. I have a 2-year roadmap, and then in that I'll be posting more videos, almost 2 to 3 videos every week. And so yeah. So thanks, guys, and I'll see you in some other video on talking on some other technology next time.
Thank you, Ravish, for the wonderful insights. I'm sure many people would have been inspired by your words. This puts an end to the current Cloudnloud Track 2 conference. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Take care.